Hey, I hope you guys are doing good today. We are watching some Casual Geographic, and this is the one rule in nature school never taught you. And I do believe this is a recommendation one. I know it's taking me a while to get to all of the suggested videos. I'm just going down the list, but I do recall somebody suggesting this one. So thank you for the suggestion. I'm excited for this. I don't know what all is going to be in here, but I feel like I'm going to learn some crazy stuff as usual. If you do get a chance, I'd appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe. It'll help me out a bunch. And if you do have any other recommendations, just put them in the comments below. I do appreciate all of the recommendations and comments. So thank you guys. And I have Casual Geographic's video linked in my description below. So please be sure to go and support him, watch his videos, subscribe to him, all that good stuff. But all right, let's uh let's learn some new things today.
Hello.
Aw, hello.
She wants to come in, guys.
Oh my god.
You have been consistently lied to your entire life, and the biggest source of some of the most unprovoked lies is school. School really told us that this dude in 92
I feel like I keep learning that, right? Like everything that we learn about things, it's always a lie. Always a lie. Imagine that. Imagine that.
discovered America, that quicksand and giant Venus flytraps were way more of an issue than they ended up being, that writing in cursive was the only way you'd ever be taken seriously, and my personal favorite, whenever a teacher would say, "This won't slide in college."
Yes, that is a famous line. 100%.
Time your calculus professor at 5 p.m. can end up your beer pong partner by 11. But there's one mistruth that insists on being spread, and before we get to that, story time. So back in the 70s, ornithologists noticed something pretty disturbing, even for them. Fola is a remote island over 200 miles off Scotland, and for generations, migratory birds, specifically Arctic terns and one of the ops of happy feet, the skua, use it as nesting grounds to raise their chicks. And a group of ornithologists noticed a gruesome trend of chicks with pretty graphic injuries. Some
Oh
chicks looked like they
no.
had a leg or two ripped off. For others, the same, but with their
Oh,
wings. Some chicks even had their heads divorced from their body, for
oh
sure
God.
irreconcilable. And while some of the chicks somehow survived being mutilated, scientists had no idea what was causing this sudden rise in amputees.
There was a bird serial killer on the loose.
At first they guessed otters or even hedgehogs, but it turned out to be neither. You wanna know what it was? I promise you'll never guess it. I'll even give you a chance to try. Comment what you think. I bet.
It was them. It was them. Cause I don't know. I don't know why I think that. I'm gonna say it was them. It was them. They're doing it to themselves.
Bet you're wrong. The answer? Sheep. Yeah,
Oh,
sheep. Scientists
damn. Gosh. I thought sheep were pretty docile.
you're wrong. The answer?
Murder sheep.
Sheep. Yeah, sheep. Scientists observed grazing sheep stumble across a defenseless chicken without a second thought or really even much of a prequel, grab them, and eat them.
Oh my
Sometimes the sheep would
god.
snap off a leg for a premature drumstick. Other times they might grab one by the head and initiate a permanent separation.
Oh my
Swallowing
god.
skull and all whole. From 1973 to 1980, nearly 700 baby birds have been victimized by the business end of a carnivorous Q-tip. In the grand scheme of things, that's only a dent in the thousands of birds born in that time. But then again, nobody expected sheep to be involved in foul play. And that
This
goes
is
back to those lies
true.
I told you about. So in science class, we were taught this rule. Herbivores eat plants, carnivores eat meat, and those with culinary commitment issues are called omnivores. And for a lot of us, that's where it ended, but of course, nature's more complicated than that. It's like a spectrum, and on one end you have obligate herbivores, as in they're obligated to eat just plants or starve to death. Here you got animals like koalas, sloths, and the dead-eyed plush toy, the bear cuz. Then you have the same concept but obligate carnivores, like cats, of every kind. And smack
Okay.
in the middle are your omnivores. But there's also facultatives, and basically that means most of the time you'll find them at one end, but every once in a while they'll borrow a meal plan from the other side. Polar bears are hypercarnivores, with most of their calories coming from seals, but rarely they'll switch it up to berries, seaweed, moss, and even straight up grass, which makes them
Okay.
facultative carnivores and not an obligate like a lion. And since we're already on bears, pandas are a good example of facultative herbivores. I promise it's gonna get less complicated, but the yin yang yogi's defining personality trait is being a bamboo merchant.
I mean, this actually makes sense because I would imagine that I guess like I feel like I mean, the only reference I have is myself, right? When it comes to like thinking like this, but I kind of always had animals in like one of the three boxes, right? Like if you wanted to look like think of it that way, is like I always thought like, you know, that there wasn't a like in between of these three boxes, you know. So this is something that has never even occurred to me that because I guess in my head it was like, oh well, if they eat plants and they only eat plants and like that's it, you know, and like we have all of the plant eaters in this plant eater box or whatever, you know. Um so yeah, this is actually really interesting.
But every once in a while, they surprise us, like when this panda was caught in 4K eating a past tense wildebeest, or when the DreamWorks jockey chased, caught, murked, and ate a peacock. They've also
Oh
been known to
man.
hunt pikas. That's a pika. So even though most of what
Oh,
goes down his gullet is bamboo, protein in the form of meat is never really off the table, which makes them facultative herbivores. And they're not the
mm.
only ones. Almost the opposite. Almost every herbivore you can think of is actually facultative, even the ones you wouldn't expect.
Oh.
That's how the
Okay.
Good Vibes vegan aqua blimp has also been known to snag fish from nets for themselves. Then you got the normally vegetarian shell jockey the tortoise, turning a rabbit carcass into a
Oh my
cookout. They've
gosh.
also been known to plot on and consume unlucky birds. To be fair, if you can literally fly but get taken off the census by a mobile boulder, that's more about you than him. There was
True. That is so true. If you're letting a turtle take you out, bro, you got bigger problems. You got bigger problems.
To be fair, if you can literally fly but get taken off a census by a mobile boulder,
Damn.
that's more about you than him. There was even that time India released 25,000 flesh-eating turtles to deal with the whole corpse population problem in the Ganges. It didn't work, by the way. But by far, the biggest culprit of covert carnivory are deer. The same deer that's usually the poster boy for the middle child of the food chain will occasionally get calories from something like a past tense bunny. A couple
Hmm.
years ago,
Okay.
researchers wanted to see just what happens to the human body after the soul evacuates, and basically
I am a little bit surprised by the deer. I mean, well, like I am and I'm not, I guess at the same time. Like they're just trying to survive, right? So I guess if they're hungry and, you know, an opportunity presents itself, they're gonna eat. I I get it.
a couple years ago, researchers wanted to
It's
see just
interesting
what
though.
happens to the human body after the soul evacuates, and basically set up these body farms to see how they decompose. As you can probably guess, photos would go viral featuring deer chewing on human bones, scavenging
Oh
through
my
the man-made
gosh.
remains like vultures. In 2015, researchers in North Dakota set up nest cams for a 24-hour live stream of the hatchlings, and not only did the footage catch deer enjoying an extremely late-term omelet, the cervix actually outdid the foxes and weasels in that area, i.e. the ones you'd
Oh
expect that from. And
man.
it wasn't
Oh yeah, that's right. That is true. I would have thought because I feel like foxes, especially weasels, usually have like a reputation for kind of dominant on baby birds, but damn, I wouldn't have thought the deer. Oof, they're little menaces.
Cervix actually outdid the foxes and weasels in that area, i.e. the ones you'd expect.
I still like deer though, don't get me wrong. But deer are definitely a little bit freaky though, especially when you're driving. Deer are very scary. like it's just they're just so unpredictable that I think it makes it a little bit terrifying when you're driving and you see one on the side of the road because you do not know like what can happen and it's a little bit terrifying.
Expect that from. And it wasn't just them being opportunity merchants, some of those deer went out of their way to get to them.
Oh
And in
man.
Canada, scientists were looking to study different species of birds and so trapped them using mist nets, only for the unhinged ruminants to stroll in and eat the trapped and struggling birds alive, right out of the nets. Growing up is
Oh my
realizing Bambi
god.
would have 100% turned on Thumper if times got tough. It's now believed that a nutrient deficiency and a food shortage is really all it takes for an animal to go from herbivore to fernivore.
I'm, you know, a meal's a meal, and if you're hungry enough, you will eat anything. As animals are showing, you know, just like people, just like people. I'm just saying.
Because one thing about animals, they don't care. A
Yeah.
deer not finna pass down a chance for easy protein just because a
Feeding
textbook
a
says they should.
snake.
The twist is, almost every herbivore on Earth is facultative, meaning they'll take a page out of a predator's playbook if circumstances call for it. That's how you get
Mm.
normally docile horses treating baby birds like popcorn chicken, or that time cows in Australia were caught slurping pythons like fruit roll-ups, all because they were apparently feeding for phosphorus. Even giraffes. Yeah, they're not safe either. The verticality merchants of the motherland will often feed off the bones of other animals. Not really
Oh.
swallowing them, but more like licking and sucking on it, pause. So their saliva can leach off nutrients like calcium and phosphorus. There have also been cases of the camel leopard cosplaying antelope snatching up birds to feed on their misfortune. So far, we've learned 3 things. 1, most herbivores are about as
Oh,
vegetarian
wow.
as their options. 2, baby birds are really the Kit Kat bars of nature.
That is true. It's amazing that we have so many baby birds that survive because holy, I didn't realize that, I always knew that baby birds are probably, probably really easy pickings, but for the list, holy moly, the list just goes on and on. That sucks.
Are about as vegetarian as their options. 2, baby birds are really the Kit Kat bars of nature. And 3, now you see why Marty did everything in his power to get up out of there. His entire friend group would have had his hide if it got to that point. Which of course brings us to hippos, and this is where things get complicated. At this
Oh,
point, it probably surprises exactly none of you that the four-legged assassination cetacean can have a hankering for flesh. Hippos have been seen eating carcasses and even resorting to cannibalism. It's complicated because for a while we thought it was the same deal as
God.
before, just animals switching it up when their primary food source is compromised, which would make hippos facultative herbivores. There's that word again. Except, more and more scientists are coming to the conclusion that hippos eating meat aren't just scavenging or being opportunists, it's just hippos hippoing, as in hippos will put themselves in a position to catch a body and subsequently feed on it. There have been reports of hippos murking livestock and seemingly predatory assaults, and some even believe hippos will purposely park themselves in a river migrating animals have no choice but to cross, just so they can turn the casualties into calories. Sometimes that involves punking crocodiles out of food. And of course, you already
Oh
know,
my
hippos are
gosh.
not above feeding off friendly fire. All this
That is true. I mean, I guess for hippos, I don't know what I thought. To be fair, I kind of thought hippos ate everything. I didn't think that they were like not like carnivorous, but I kind of thought as hippos like pigs, like they just kind of eat everything, you know?
crocodiles out of food. And of course, you already know, hippos are not above feeding off friendly fire. All this means hippos might not even be herbivores at all, but identify closer to the omnivore side of the spectrum. And
Hmm.
that's why it's complicated, because now you're probably asking, what's the difference between a facultative herbivore and a straight up omnivore? And there's an answer, I just really couldn't tell you. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because that almost kind of seems like they're the same, but obviously they're different, right? I bet that's a whole nother video topic, I'm guessing.
you could say facultatives eat mostly plants but can resort to meat as a fallback, where omnivores can normally go either way, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't just make that up on the spot. The moral of the story? It's way more complex than just putting labels on things and calling it a day. For
Yeah.
example, this. That is a common diker, and it's an antelope less than 2 feet tall found in sub-Saharan
Oh,
Africa.
they're
And I
cute.
could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the only antelope that
Oh.
regularly eats meat. Along with the shrubs and grasses you'd expect, the meal plan for this antelope undertaker often involves combing through corpses, along with lizards, frogs, small rodents, and, you guessed it, baby birds. And because a good percentage
God damn, man. Baby birds. I think just all baby animals in general just have it hard, but like holy hell, these baby birds, they are on the menu for so many animals.
lizards, frogs, small rodents, and, you guessed it, baby birds. And because a good percentage of their diet requires other animals to diet with the T silent, I'd call the diker an omnivore. But then, you got this. The tree-loving, pretty privileged acorn hoarders of the rodent world. Many will tell you that with a grocery list of mostly plants, fruits, nuts, and seeds, the squirrel is mostly herbivorous. But
I just saw a squirrel in my backyard the other day and it ate like a whole pine cone. I just sat there and watched it. It was pretty cute though. It's pretty cute. It looked just like this squirrel.
tell you that with a grocery list of mostly plants, fruits, nuts, and seeds, the squirrel is mostly herbivorous. But squirrels are also infamous for raiding
Oh.
birds' nests and turning preemie poultry into protein. And yeah, they do this a lot. On
Oh
occasion,
man.
you'll see squirrels pack up chickens and snakes. There was even a story of a pack of Russian squirrels ganging up on a stray dog and eviscerating the canine alive,
Oh my
each scurrying off with
gosh.
their share of flesh. Yeah, not so cute now. They're not the only rodents that go rogue either. Normally, grass-eating prairie dogs have been known to savage baby ground squirrels, and on rare occasions, even
Oh.
eat the remains. In case
Oh.
you're curious, they do this by shaking the baby violently until their existence gets revoked. As
Oh my goodness. That is so aggressive. Oh man. I didn't know prairie dogs were that that violent. Oh my gosh.
In case you're curious, they do this by shaking the baby violently until their existence gets revoked. That's not even my worst rodent fact in the chamber. In 1995, a 43-year-old woman was found deceased in her flat and with facial lesions and lacerations, and the fact that she was naked from the waist down, first responders thought it was a special victims unit kind of crime. Except it was later determined that she had expired to pneumonia. The desecration of her
Oh.
corpse was caused by her pet golden hamster. Not only did the pet feed on her vacated vessel, law enforcement would find the hamster's makeshift burrow containing human skin, flesh, and muscle tissue.
Oh
But that
my
shouldn't even really be a
god.
surprise since hamsters are known
Bro.
cannibals, but what you might not know is that sometimes it can be caused by corn. Researchers at the University of Strasbourg found this out by accident when they tried to figure out why the female hamsters under their care kept dominating their own children. Through
Oh.
some likely traumatizing trial and error, they figured out that just a corn diet was even the hamsters missing crucial vitamins, specifically B3. They figured that out because once they added B3 back into their diets, the mother hamsters suddenly remembered how to mother. And the crazy part is,
Oh,
that
that's
can happen to
wild.
people. Vitamin
Oh, that is wild. Oh gosh. Is that like the lady that put her baby in the microwave? Is like she ate too much corn? I'm not trying to make a joke because that's like really really effed up. But I wonder what happens if, or is this like a like if is it just corn or is it like all kinds of food that could like make that could have this kind of effect on people?
hamsters suddenly remembered how to mother. And the crazy part is, that can happen to people. Vitamin B3 deficiency can lead to pellagra, a disease associated with diarrhea,
Oh.
dermatitis, dementia, and eventually dying. So in a weird twist, an unbalanced diet can really lead to spawn-wrecking rodents, and they're not the only known cannibals in nature. Chimpanzees are a great example of animals don't care. Chimps have
Yes.
been known to de-life their rivals and devour the body. Now, to us,
Oh
it's horrific and it
gosh.
makes chimps the spawn of Satan. To a chimp with no legal system or a sense of morality, just a will to live, it's common sense, murking your rival to protect your food supply, and
This is true. I think too many times, and I know I'm guilty of it a lot too. It's like we look at what animals do and we're like, "Oh my God, like it's like horrendous or it's like so violent or it's like horrific," but it's not really. It's just kind of like how the animal kingdom works. And I think a lot of people have a harder time separating those two, where it's like I know that about myself where I can be like, "Oh my God, like that's so like scary," or that seems like so crazy. But at the same time, I'm like, that's just how it is. And I got to respect it. And you got to respect the animals. And they're animals being animals. And I think we might give them a little bit too much humanity. Like, I'm not saying that there's a lot of very, very incredibly smart animals out there that, do incredible things. But that doesn't mean that they're people. At the end of the day, they're still not people. And you never know what could possibly happen. So, I definitely think that that's like a flaw that all of us have, I like me very much included, that I watch a lot of these videos and I'm always like, holy shit, like I can't believe they do this to each other. But it's like, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because that's just kind of like how the animal world is. And that's just how it is. You got to respect it and you can observe it and you can still think it's, like violent or aggressive or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're not people, they're animals, and they're just doing their animal life things.
system or a sense of morality, just a will to live, it's common sense, murking your rival to protect your food supply and not letting easy protein go to waste. And before you judge, early humans reportedly made the brains of terminated children a somewhat regular part of their diets. But I think people
Oh.
forget chimps aren't just violent pseudo-vegans, they're legit predators. As in, they'll work together in coordinated attacks on prey like colobus monkeys. Which, you know,
Oh my
isn't
gosh.
all that different from getting disemboweled by a pack of Olympic-level parkour zombies. They've also been known to hunt bush babies, that's a bush baby, by using
Oh.
spears. But with all
Oh
the chimp carnage
my.
on this channel, them having carnivore tendencies should really be no surprise. The plot twist is, even the pacifists of the great apes can be on predatory timing. Most people, including me about 2 weeks ago, see orangutans as a good vibes hippie vegetarians of the primate world. Which is almost true. Ginger apes eat mostly the stuff you'd expect, fruits, figs, leaves, maybe some termites to go with bird eggs. But then you got this, an orangutan tearing apart a slow loris. The same one known for being venomous, which orangs
Oh
figured out how to
wow.
neutralize by using the loris's natural weakness. Blunt force trauma in the form of a bite through the skull. Now, to be fair, a meat-eating man of the
Oh
forest is
my.
remarkably rare. But then again, chances are, before this video, a good number of y'all probably thought orangutans were only a threat to pieces of fruit. The same
This is true. I mean, before this video, I probably never would have thought as many animals eat meat. I think it's more of ones that I thought were, you know, plant eaters that I guess dabble in the meat eating, I guess. I don't know, but um it's way more, way more than I had actually even anticipated.
Chances are, before this video, a good number of y'all probably thought orangutans were only a threat to pieces of fruit, the same way a lot of people feel about toucans. Well, this roided up woodpecker, which is actually what toucans are, the more you know,
They're
has
so
also been known to
cool.
put bats on permanent leave
Oh.
from life.
Oh
Yeah, that's the
my.
part Fruit Loops commercials ain't show you. They're also one of the many animals on the list of
Damn.
population control for baby birds. Oh, you thought that was a mammal thing? Well, toucan played that game. Yo, who wrote this? I did. I
Gosh.
wrote it. I'm sorry. But birds in general will eat virtually anything that doesn't pack them up in the process. Seagulls have been seen scarfing down squirrels with zero remorse, and I'm pretty sure there's
That's
at least one
impressive.
person in the world down a dog thanks to this flying antichrist. But the biggest example of feathery f***ery is what happens on Malgus
Oh.
Island. This is where we go full circle. This island off the coast of South Africa is a nursery for the thousands of Cape Gannets nesting here, which would probably be a good idea
Oh my
if
gosh.
someone ain't snitched to the pelicans, because a population of white
Uh-oh.
pelicans started traveling to Malgus just so they can swallow Gannet chicks whole, often right in front of their parents. And if one was unlucky enough to have both
Oh
parents out at sea,
my.
that's just an easy lick for this Attack on Titan pterosaur. It gets worse when you realize the half-digested, fully molested baby birds often end up being regurgitated for the pelican progeny to eat. And you thought they just ate fish.
Oh
Predators come in many
my.
forms, and one island in the Pacific is home to one of the most unlikely. Because if you bleed on the wrong island, you can attract a pack of coconut crabs. Not only is this satanic manifestation in the form of crustacean
Oh yeah, there's like a few stories about coconut crabs of people that have like died because they crashed or something and they were bleeding and then they show up and they basically just eat them while they're still alive.
attracted to blood, they're more than enthusiastic scavengers. In a study done on Nikomaroru Island, it took the homicidal hermit crabs a week to completely undress a pig carcass down to the bones. But with pinchers strong enough to humble a coconut, the killer crabs are more than capable of catching their own prey, especially when they can climb trees and ambush sleeping birds. This video was taken of a crab after it had snapped the hollow bones of a seabird. The part you don't see is where
Oh
a group
my
of crabs arrived at
god.
the injured and incapacitated avian and proceeded to tear the bird apart. They've also been known to make a meal out of rats, cats,
Jeez.
and maybe even humans. Because a
That's
grisly theory on the
impressive.
disappearance of Amelia Earhart was that a cluster of crabs got
Oh yeah, I did hear this. This is like I heard this not that long ago about what they thought what happened to her.
humans. Because a grisly theory on the disappearance of Amelia Earhart was that a cluster of crabs got to her before anyone else could. And the worst part? There's no guarantee she was relieved from life by the time they got to her. Because
Yeah.
even though Mr. Krabs on creatine normally goes for fruit, just like most animals on Earth, they're only as vegetarian as their options. Hug your loved ones, stay safe out there, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Oh, speaking of which, my eye's fine. I got LASIK, so I look like I lost the fight, but I also got the gift of sight, so sigh.
Oh
Alright, peace out.
yay. Oh my gosh.
Cook it. No, so we're saving a pelican.
What's going on here?
I can cook the fish, so
Yeah, she's a little nicer than you.
yeah, I guess.
Oh.
Oh
Oh my.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
We're saving the pelican.
Okay, go. Let the bird go.
Okay. Good birdie. Are you okay?
Feeling
Oh.
much better.
Oh my god. This video was super interesting. Very, very interesting. So thank you. Thank you again for the recommendation because this was very eye-opening and I've definitely learned a lot about some animals that I had absolutely no idea about. So thank you. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Great video. Please be sure to go and like and subscribe to Casual Geographic. He does great work. So, well, that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one.